Someone needs to pay for this, but we know it's not going to happen. Now, a few months ago, the CDC stated that we can now treat Mr. 19, COVID, like the flu. So here is the big issue with that, and here's the problem with everything else that goes along with that one statement that was released a few months ago. When the event was unfolding back in 2020, a lot of people were stating, even then, even in its early phases, that it's nothing more than a bad flu, that it's a bad illness, but it's not going to wreck everyone's life. Now, I said before, now that what Mr. 19 did was it burned through the week. And I know a lot of people hate hearing that, especially if you lost somebody to it. Nonetheless, it still doesn't change the fact that where is it now? It's all but part of our daily lives. People are still getting sick. Way less people die. Actually, I haven't heard anybody pass away from it in quite a while. And the CDC turns around and says, oh, just treat it like the flu. Now, there were people who were saying that that's all it was. I remember I said it a couple times, not in the beginning, but more in the middle of the whole action, if you will, where I said that I think it's nothing but the flu amplified. A little bit, slightly amplified, nothing crazy. But now, and then all of that's going on, they're telling people, well, listen, you got to stand 6 feet away from one another. When you walk into a restaurant, before you get to your table, you got to cover your face. And when you sit down at the table, you can take your face covering off. In some restaurants, they didn't want you taking your face covering off until you started eating, until your food landed in front of you. Then they put up these retarded plexiglass. Like, Mr. 19 was like, oh my God, like a mime just sitting there going, how do we get around this plexiglass? Then they sat there and had people waiting outside in the freezing cold to get tested or to just go inside the store. Stores were telling people only 5 people in the store at a time. People lost their jobs. People lost friendships, family members, meaning connections with family members. People were forced to retire early. And all of this for the CDC to turn around and go, it's not a real big deal anymore. They told people to take something that they didn't need and didn't work, the on ticket. They had people scared for no reason. I mean, there's still traces of people being scared. You watch these idiots walking around with a face covering, still driving in their cars alone. Now, the other face covering issue is that a lot of kids like to wear it because they're committing crimes and shit like that. That's an entirely different story. But all of this, guys, people lost time with family members who died soon after or who died during it. You had senior citizen homes that were telling people they had to take an on ticket to go see their relatives. Again, all of this for something that's now being treated like, it's nothing. People, though, again, the residual fear mongering that still lingers. Some people are being tested positive for Mr. 19 and then they're freaking out. To this day, in 2024, because they got had. They were lied to and they believed the lie. They believed the lie so much it was imprinted, and hypothetically speaking, it was imprinted on their DNA, so anytime they get sick or somebody else gets sick, they flip out. They had parents locking their kids away and treating them like prisoners in their own homes when they came down with Mr. 19. One family member that I remember, not family member, but a lady I was watching on TV said that she had to lock her kid in a room and leave the food by the door. And that when the food tray came out, she disinfected the food tray and the plates and shit there, and then took it to get washed. And she wore gloves and all. Like, she treated the kid like a biolab experiment gone wrong, right? She treated the kid like he was Sloth from the Goonies and shit, all hanging out like, mommy, like. And I'm like, we're never doing that to my kids. And I remember the wife stating, oh, if one of the kids gets sick, we're doing exactly that. I said, oh, my dead fucking body. I said, you want to see how fucking fast the divorce goes down? Needless to say, both kids got sick. We didn't do that, right? And not because of the threat, because she actually woke up later on as to realizing what this bullshit was. Now, like I said earlier, someone needs to pay for this, but nothing's going to happen because, like, I hate to say this, certain people, the government, city agencies, businesses are not going to take accountability. They're not apologizing for acting like assholes. One politician, and that was a Japanese man, apologized for being that asshole. One. And I told people before, well, he apologized, would you forgive him? Of course, people being the children that they are going to be like, well, no, I'm not going to apologize to him or take his apologies because he apologized. He was man enough to step up to the plate and apologize. Nobody else is doing that. Nobody else. Not a single person that I've read has stepped up and said, you know what, I fucked up, I'm sorry. No businesses have stepped up and apologized, like in an email or anything, saying, oh, we apologize for being idiots and believing this bullshit. Fauci needs to be held accountable, and accountable in the worst way. I'm talking about jail time and the whole 9 yards, but they're not touching him. He's stepping down and disappearing into the shadows. You're hearing less and less of him, because the new guy that's stepping up is going to step up in time for the bird frenzy, or feather frenzy, or feather fever, whatever you want to call it. I like feather fever better. Anyway, and that was from a subscriber, by the way. So now, guys, all of this shit is done. People lost, again, time with family members. Like, I lost a good 2 years hanging out with my father, though he was sick, because of this shit. I know people who watched or known family members that passed away in old age homes or retirement homes because of this shit. Now people are sick because they took the arm ticket for something that turns out to be just a flu. The accountability level, guys, needs to be had. And I think the only way that can happen is we stepped up to the plate and did something about it. Now, a lot of us are not going to do anything because we're going to do what? Leave well enough alone. Well, how long are we going to leave well enough alone? We need to start hammering out the businesses that told us, if you don't have the arm ticket, you can't get in here. And there's a lot of places I don't eat at anymore because of that. At all. Right? They closed down gyms for this nonsense and left McDonald's open. We don't want you to stay healthy and work out, but you can get fat as fuck off this bullshit meal. Because McDonald's is the worst. I haven't had McDonald's in 2 years now, maybe 3 years. And not because of that, just unrelated to that, it's just about health reasons and shit. But anyway, still, they showed us what they were about even during the pandemic, even during the event going on. When everything was breaking down, the government said, McDonald's, you're open. Gyms, you're closed. Bars, some of you guys can stay open. Liquor stores, you can stay open. But everybody else has got to shut it down when there's a crisis going on. And nobody else caught on to this shit. Now, some people are waking up to the fact that now they're looking back on it and they're going, yo, that's crazy. We did all of this because they told us to, but they kept the other side of the bullshit open. They kept the McDonald's, the fast food chains, the bad places open, and those are the places that were probably able to hit off certain politicians with a absorbent amount of cash. They keep themselves open. Again, still BS. But all of that, all of the restrictions, all of the, you can't do this, you can't do that. You can't go to the beach. You can't go to the park. All of that for them to turn around and say, oh, it's the flu. It's okay now. This is why when the feather fever breaks out, people are not going to follow the rules and regulations on that. People are not going to take that arm ticket because we learned a lesson. We learned a valuable lesson. The government proved to us that they lied. Fauci proved to us that he lied. Fauci made up shit during the pandemic. He made up the 6 feet rule. He made up that the arm ticket's going to work. He made up a lot of shit, and people believed him. People to this day still put him on a pedestal of being a hero. The next situation that goes down, they're not going to have the same compliance they did before. They're going to have way less people complying. Anyway, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching.